Coach B did all week and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk more so about, things that are to help us become better educators, things I pick up along the way. Plus I work, where I'm a professional learning coordinator and I work with some awesome teachers. And I'm learning some things from them while I'm trying to help enrich them and take the quality of their instruction to the next level. Sometimes they end up teaching me instead of me teaching them. So I'll be sharing that with y'all as well too. So I think I'm going to start doing topics, if you will, versus giving you a rundown of my week, because that just seems unfruitful and you're not being edified. So yeah.
Hey, Coach B.
So this week, February 1st occurred, which is the first day of Black History Month, and my history, for me professionally, has always been me teaching high school biology. Normally, the beginning of February, I am getting my students adjusted to Coach B's classroom culture. We're learning the beginning of biology 1 or 2, depending on what I'm teaching. Normally, we're reviewing the periodic table, physical science stuff. I'm spending that time to locate my kids so that we can effectively move forward around this time of year. So it's difficult to fit in Black history into photosynthesis or whatever I'm teaching at that time. So now during middle school, we're not 4x4, so I have the same kids all year, which I think is absolutely wonderful. And I wanted to do something for Black history, so I went as far as making my Black history wall, which looks fresh, very, very proud of that. And I wanted to open up with dialogue, because when I first got here, I tried to do a class discussion. So I was hired in October. I came kind of late in the year, for me anyway, as someone who's used to being there from August to June. But I came in mid-October, and I wanted to do a class discussion, and it didn't go over well. So after studying my kids and getting to know them, I learned that they didn't know how to convey their thoughts. They couldn't even articulate their thoughts. This is what I think, let me verbalize my thoughts. And they couldn't do that, and I also found out they couldn't even write their thoughts. We struggled with writing. So journalism was something that was already the culture of how we teach campus-wide. So they were doing that, but they didn't quite know how. So what they're writing was broad, and some of it was full of fragments, and it was a struggle. So I said we're going to focus on communicating our thoughts in writing. We start off with I need at least 3 sentences, and it went to 5, then 8, then 10, then 2 paragraphs, and up until last week they can do a whole page, front and back, about a journal entry that I give them at the beginning of the period. So we have accomplished communicating our thoughts in writing is something we have now mastered. That is done. So now I want to go back to discussions. Like I said, I tried it in the beginning when I first got here. Sorry, my leg is itching. But it didn't work out too well because they didn't know how to communicate effectively with one another. And the fact, again, they had trouble collecting their thoughts and conveying it, that also is an epic fail, because if you don't know how to do that, it's really hard to have a class discussion. So because they've been doing it with journals, my intention was maybe if I can get them to process their thoughts, collect their thoughts, and translate that into written form, maybe it'll help them be more analytical in their approach. They'll think about how they feel and be able to verbalize those feelings. And we set parameters at the beginning of the discussion. This is what we're going to talk about. This is what Coach B wants to cover. This is how far we can take it. This is the territory we're not going to go into, and we made it clear. So we talked about racism. We talked about the history of, black people and how far they have come. My niece just walked in. You want to say hi to the people watching on YouTube? Okay, come on. I'll lift you up here. You gotta help me because you're kind of big. This is my niece Chelsea. She's my oldest niece. Say hi. Hi. She just popped in here. What are you eating?
A cookie.
A cookie. Is it good? Okay. Well, Uncle James is gonna finish talking to his teacher friends. Say bye, teacher friends.
Bye, teacher friends.
Okay. You go back in there quietly while I go finish this vlog. Okay. Enjoy your cookie. So, I was trying to stop. So, I set my parameters, I made it clear. I let them know, again, I set limitations that, I didn't want it to get out of hand. So I had to make it clear, we're not going to go this way and don't want you going over that way. And it's kind of hard sometimes with the group discussion. You don't want it to go too far left or too far right. But I thought a good medium would be with the topic of accomplishments for African Americans. So, for starters, we want to talk about racism because that is the elephant in the room, and it was a good area of productivity, if you will, as far as productive conversation that would allow us to express our opinions yet ping ideas from one another. How do we feel about it? So a good area I wanted to talk about was Billie Holiday. She's a blues singer, one of my favorite, of course. I was introduced to her early on in my life. Late middle school, early high school. My sister Pearl bought it for me for Christmas. I think it may have been one of her greatest hit CDs. And first song I heard was God Bless the Child Who Has His Own. And I remember thinking, it's different. This is old school. You could tell it was old school. But I thoroughly enjoyed the way she performed and the way she sounded. And you could feel what she was saying. Her music is poetic, and it really touched me deeply. And for me to be 14 and have all those emotions, it was nothing like I have ever heard, of course, because when you're a 21st century child, you have no idea of music. These children, the music they listen to today is not real music. They have no idea what real music is. And back then I was one of my kids. So yeah, I had no idea what real music was. So then at the end of that CD was a bonus track by the name of Strange Fruit, which shined a light on the lynchings that went on during her time. And as a class we talked about the origin of the song, how it was once a poem, how it was respected. When Billie Holiday would perform the song, there was like a contract, dude. There's no, I'm not going to do an encore. Your servers will not serve during this song. Everyone is to be still during the song. There was a tone that was set to emphasize the importance of this song. And we talked about it. We broke up the lyrics and line by line, stanza by stanza. We discussed what it meant to us. What does she mean, and why did she say it like that, and why was it so graphic? And they begin to discuss, what it meant to them. So moving forward, we got on the subject of how far have we come? Is it any different? Does racism still exist? How do we deal with it? And we talked about, Black Lives Matter came up, protesting came up, police brutality came up, how some of my kids have been affected by, I won't say racism, but being put into that profile, of being profiled, because of where you come from or what you look like. How certain people may treat you differently. And then we talked about other races and their struggles as well. We learned, because I have a mixed group, we learned that African Americans were not the only slaves, and we got on the subject of how multiple minorities had to fight to get where they are, and how America is one big melting pot. And then we concluded our discussion with talking about what can we do for our America. And our America, to me, is my community, where I live, where I go every day. This is my America. not the entire country, but my domain. What can I do to better my America? And it was a very fruitful conversation. And I'm saying all that because that's something that you want to do as well. In your classroom, you want to create that safe place where your students feel like they can come to you and express their opinion and it be validated. Another thing I had to make clear was that I wanted my kids to respect one another's opinion. We learn how to agree to disagree. I may not understand why you think like that, but I will respect your opinion. Your thought process is different from mine, but I respect that too. If we disagree, we're not going to argue, but I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to hear you out so I can understand the origin of your opinion, the way you think, and that'll help me understand you as a person. Then let me convey my part as well so you can understand me. So although we don't agree, we're not going to argue or debate it. We can agree to disagree, but we understand each other. And if there be an argument, we have clarity of it. And maybe I can help you understand something that you may have missed. Maybe the information that you have behind your methodology is misinformation. Let me help you clarify, because that's wrong, and this is why it's wrong, because here are the facts versus, the opinion that you've been given. And we discuss that, and for 7th and 8th graders to come together and understand and be able to discuss it. And for my kids who always seem to be on 10 every day, God bless them, I love them, but they're always on 10. But we could calm down and have a very fruitful discussion. It just really, it made my week. This is a disclaimer for every teacher. You do want to be careful not to give a child the floor who's going to highlight something negative. If they're going to take it another way and you feel like it may cause you to lose control, know your kids, gauge their maturity, and figure out, where do I need to set those parameters. Like me, I work with middle school, so anything that, sounds like an innuendo is going to be out the window. So I know I have to stay away from innuendos. You have to really monitor that as well, because you don't want to highlight something negative and then that it grows legs in the conversation and runs around your room and you're chasing it. No, we're not going to do that. So we're going to set those parameters, and if a child does veer that way, okay, hey, we're not talking about that. We're discussing da-da-da-da-da. So you have to make that clear early on. But when done effectively and when it is made clear, it not only is educational, but it is a great way to build strong, lasting relationships in your classroom. And as a class, we grow together. And it's really, really fruitful. And it's not just Black history. You can do it in an array of different areas. It's just all in how you present it and how much information you want to be shared. But I think this week, that was the highlight of my week. Seeing them come together. And I also turned them on into jazz. So now they're going to be like Coach B and be jazz lovers. Mission accomplished. We're going to get them some real music. So when they raise children, their children aren't listening to these crazy folk, but they're listening to some real good music. Something to get their mind stimulated, and not frying their brain with craziness. So anyway, that was my accomplishment for the week. I'm a proud teacher. Always been a proud teacher, but I think I got a little bit prouder, on Wednesday or Thursday because of that discussion. So I encourage y'all, let's spark some conversations in our room. That's how you effectively educate. We're not just doing work, we're growing together. Each one, reach one. This is what we do. I'll see y'all next week.
And blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees.